To sew the witch's or wizard's hat, you'll need to print out your pattern pieces, then cut out your fabric and interfacing. Our next step is then to iron on the interfacing. Please follow the manufacturer's directions. Once you've applied your interfacing to one of the brims and your cone piece of the hat, we're now going to sew the two brims together, right sides together if you have a right side for your fabric, or with the interfacing facing out towards you. Next step is to then pin all the way around your brim and then sew right the way around this outer edge using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. After you've stitched right the way around the outside edge of your brim, we are now going to clip the internal circle of our brim here. We're going to make 1/4 inch clips every 1/2 inch approximately, and we'll be clipping both the top and bottom brim. You will then need to trim the seam allowance around the outside of the outer brim. Once stitched, turn your hat brim the right way round, pop those edges right out as far as you can, and then press quite firmly. Next step is then to top stitch around your brim if you so desire. Now take your cone piece and place the long edges together, so right sides are facing or the interface is facing out towards you, and just make a stitch using the 1/2 inch seam allowance along that long edge. Once sewn, make sure you turn out your witch's or wizard's cone hat just using a blunt object like a chopstick, or I've just used one of my kids' paintbrushes to pop out that tip. And our next step is now to apply our cone top to our witch's hat's brim. Now what we'll need to do is we'll need to mark 4 even spaces along our hat, and the easiest way to do this is just to fold it in half, pop in your pins either side, fold in half again, pop in your pins again, and simply do the same thing for the top of your hat. Mark your 4 corners like so. Once you've quartered up your brim and your hat mane, put your hat mane inside your brim and then just line up those pins that we've marked, and then you'll need to pin right the way around and be quite liberal with your pinning, and then we can stitch. Once pinned, using your 1/2 inch seam allowance, stitch your main hat and brim together. Once stitched, you may also like to put an extra row of top stitching just to press that seam up around the top edge of the hat mane. Now's the time to either wear or embellish however you like. As you can see, I've just added some of my own embellishments to my witch's hat, but you can also use some of the silhouettes that are added in the pattern also. So today you've been sewing the Rebecca Page Witch's or Wizard's hat, which is available on the Rebecca Page website. Thank you for sewing with me. Bye.